Hello and welcome to Is Podcast Ko Kya Naam Do? I am Shri and I know it's been quite a few months since you heard last from me. Heavy apologies, and to make up for that, I'm going to be posting a snippet of my interview with someone very special. I mean, something to make up for all the months I've not been here. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about it.
But when you look back, do you see it as a creatively satisfying role? Are you proud of it?
Yeah, I mean, a few people asked me this, and I was like, yeah, that was the show that put me on the map here. But by that time, I got a little bit sure of portrayal. But then again, I had no full idea about filmmaking, editing, which helps me a lot now. And I got to learn all of that from that show because everyone on the show obviously was my good friend. We would continue to be good friends. The producer, the directors, all of them actors. So I learned a lot on that show, a lot.
Okay. Srijita, who works with me, and she's here. She's also, a huge IPK PhD student. So yeah, I'll let her know, ask her questions. Yeah.
I mean, less of a PhD student. To just share a bit of my thing. So I studied film and television. And one of my motivations for studying that at Boston was because I fell in love with IPK. But what did catch my eye was the writing and cinematography, which was like it was visibly very different from all of the comparative shows. And I was like, dude, this is amazing. And then after IPK, every other show seemed to be like a knockoff version of that love story. And I was like, I found it very interesting that somewhere down the line, even though it's shorter compared to the usual time frame of Indian tele shows, it did have a huge cultural impact. So
yeah, that's it did have a huge cultural impact. People fell in love a lot more. They were just missing the background score. Gul's writing is very at that time it was very progressive with respect to the way the shows were made. It still is. So I think it was the writing. The writing of the show was very progressive. The cinematography, Rishida was the DOP on the show, and it was he put in a visible effort to make it look jarringly beautiful, and there was so much that went into lighting. I remember, all the boys used to work really hard. There was way too much moving around. There was way too much experimentation, and he was very involved with the show from the absolute inception of it. I think our DOP of the show was the one who tested me for the show.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, along with the director, but the real DOP was the guy on camera.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, at the risk of sounding repetitive, congratulations again for Kora, for Asur too. And also a very long due congratulations for Tu Hai Mera Sunday and Halahal. Those have been some of amazing projects out there.
Yeah.
I do feel they were released at the wrong time. If they were released right now, it would be
I don't know. It's about finding the right audience and the platform. Yes, you might be right. It was both of the films that I think were a little ahead of their time. But again, we had a few people who were kind enough to say good things about it.
Yeah. So I run a podcast about Is Pyar Ko, where I break it down, all the critical elements, talk about its writing, its production, its acting value, and here's the storytelling and setting up arcs and stuff. So one of the questions that we fans often have in our mind after critically discussing IPK, because it's not just a good popular show, it's also probably one of the best in its own genre at that time. One would expect that after an IPK you would be flooded with some genuinely big offers and big roles and prominent roles. Yet from more than enough testimonies, it's evident that there's a discrimination in how television actors are perceived compared to film actors. So do you think OTT now serves as a bridge between the two industries, or you think it's becoming another divisive medium?
Yes, OTT is another island on its own. It's not bridging anything. It's a very difficult place. The OTT right now, it's a very difficult competitive place because there's a downpour of talent from all the directions suddenly the long format has brought in some phenomenal writers. The acting styles have changed for the good, all of them. So I don't think there's any kind of bridging happening. It is gonna, if you wanna, if you start out in television, the problem is that people look down upon television. I don't know why. They will just disassociate, reject, the conversation. When I don't think the conversation will go on into let's look at what kind of an actor this is. That does not happen. Let's test him. That does not happen. That's not going to happen, or her, for that matter. So yeah, to answer your question, I don't think so.
So even OTT has that bias for television actors, not just film, right?
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the last question I have is probably something I should have started off with. ऐसा कौन सा सवाल है that you never want to hear again in your life? Just सुन के like आपके कान पक चुके. You're like, enough, stop asking me this question. Is there any question that comes across like a billion times to you?
I get a feeling there are many.
Yeah, there are a few actually, but what can you do? Like people ask you, how are you feeling after the success of your shows? I usually want to tell them I'm feeling horrible. What would I tell you? Such a bad life I have, and stuff like that. Then people would ask you, how are you feeling after you have a daughter, after you have a son? I mean, what kind of a question is that? And how can I articulate this in a different fashion? I'm just happy as every average human being is. So there are some.
Okay. I'm so glad it did not occur to us to ask this.
You make me sound very interesting.
And you wait till I write. Wait till I write about it.
So this was a snippet of the interview with Barun Sobti. To catch the whole interview, head up to Dramas and Dreams. I will post the link in the comments below and feel free to give all your love. And this time, pakka, next week the podcast will be dropping by, so stay tuned. Thank you for all your love. Bye-bye.